Hi everyone, welcome, so to speak, to these 15-20 minutes that we have together. I'm going to try to toggle between talking to you guys, showing you some relevant slides, and then also following your comments and questions. So if you have anything, please use the chat, both during this session, but also afterwards. I will just hang around if there is anyone that want to network or ask questions. So I have the pleasure of talking here at UPPSTART about why we think at JumpStory that you should avoid exit strategies as a startup and as a scale-up, and instead find some really interesting battle places or battlegrounds where you can make the world just a little bit better. And I wanted actually to start sharing with you quite an interesting slide showing where some of the most successful brands today started, and why, if they had started with an exit strategy in mind, they would have to also change this radically and totally along the way. So let me just toggle to show you this slide. So as you see, these are companies that you're probably familiar with: Android, Flickr, Groupon, Pinterest, Twitter, YouTube. And I've also shown some photos of how they originally started. So in your right corner, you will see YouTube as it looked in the very beginning. Back then it was called TuneIn Hookup. It was actually a dating platform where you could upload a video by yourself, and then you could meet other people that wanted to do the same. The problem was just that nobody wanted to do the same. Felt kind of awkward, not very nice for your privacy just to put up, a dating video there. Today you see people using Tinder, a much more discreet way of doing it, even though many people still also despise that way of doing it. So imagine YouTube, or back then TuneIn Hookup, having had an exit strategy and building the whole sort of culture and platform and company around building an amazing video dating app, and then exited it to maybe, like back then, Match.com was one of the big players. If they had insisted on doing this, they would have never built the world's leading video platform. And it's the same with Groupon, being a consumer activist platform first, finding out that this was not the way to go, this was impossible to scale, and ending up being one of the world's largest deal sites. So this shows to tell that it's really, really hard in the beginning as a startup, when you're still searching for your business model, to create these exit strategy, at least if they have to be realistic and if they have to drive your efforts moving forward. So for me as an entrepreneur, and this is my 5th company with JumpStory, but also for JumpStory, exit strategies are basically mostly there when we do our funding rounds. And this may not sound very nice, but my experience with funding, both with angel and venture capital, is that you're sort of playing this game together where you both know the rules, and you know that some of the rules are flawed. So for instance, when we raised our last round, we had to create some budgets because investors want to see where we here 3-5 years from now. How big is our turnover? What is our acquisition cost? What's our lifetime value? And at the same time, we also had to present them with some exit strategies because they want to make more money than they invest. And we both know that this is of course the case. And at the same time, we sit there in the meeting room and we know that the budgets, it's never going to happen this way. We don't know how to budget 3 to 5 years from now, because the world can totally have changed. We can have another COVID, and maybe we have made another pivot. So we all know this is the case, but still we sit there and present the budgets, and we nod and we agree, oh yeah, this is going to be an amazing journey. And at the same time, we start discussing, so how are you going to exit this? Who is going to buy JumpStory? Who is going to make all of us rich? And then I sit always at the back of my mind, and now I started just verbalizing it at these meetings, saying, well, listen guys, we didn't found JumpStory with an exit strategy in mind. We didn't start this company and spend so many hours building something we find important just to exit it. Actually, we are passionate about our vision. So JumpStory, we know that this journey, we cannot predict how it's going to go, but we want to, in the best way possible, to keep the journey awesome and inspiring. And yeah, we know it's going to be a combination of passion and panic, because you can never quite control what happens, but the passion has to remain there. And we have to be able as entrepreneurs to make this passion spread. So for us, it's important that our staff members and our interns can feel that we actually feel that this is important. It's not just another, in our case, stock photo platform. We want to transform stuff. We want the images and photos and videos to be more authentic. We want to help marketeers create better bottom line results. And we cannot do this if we insist on sticking to some sort of exit strategy that was there to fundraise from the beginning. So the way that we scale our business is to insist on this journey and insist on that when we validate customers, we do it on the terms of building, in our case, a really, really good product that can transform the way that you find content online. It can make the process easier. You can find better content. So the only way that we will beat companies like Getty and Adobe and Shutterstock, because that's our battle place. So we are in this battle place of finding great content, image content for your marketing. And the only way that we can do this in a really, really good way is to stay true to our vision behind the company and to why we're doing this, and not sort of get caught up in this. So how are we going to build this small feature so we can exit it for more money? At some point, probably going to exit it, but maybe it's 5-7 years down the line, and hopefully we're also worth much more than we are today. And the only way to keep loyal to this journey is to stay loyal to our vision. And our vision is to transform and reinvent this industry. So just in 2 years, we have grown from 3 people to 22. In 2 years, we have grown from customers only in Denmark, where we are based, to almost 150 countries. In 2 years, we've grown from an unknown brand to having partners like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, customers like SEMrush, PixArt, WordPress. And this has only been possible because we have been true to our mission, which is to help marketeers find the best performing image every time, and to stay focused on solving real problems, not building companies to exit them, but maintaining that there are real problems out there for users, and that is that they cannot see through the complex license terms on whether that is Shutterstock or Getty or Adobe or Pond5 or Unsplash. So it's hard to find out what can you do with an image and where can you use it. And it's also hard to find actually good, authentic content. So much time is being wasted, money is being wasted for marketeers, and they end up downloading and using images that don't really perform. Those are real everyday problems that we're trying to solve for them. And as Mark Cuban, that some of you may know from Shark Tank, has said this, I totally agree with this quote. So don't start a company unless it's an obsession. It has to be something you love. And if you have an exit strategy, it's not really an obsession. It's more like a means towards doing an exit and getting rich. And I mean, we are, as founders, we are around 40 years old, and both me and my co-founder have tried being on this journey before. And I think we have matured in the sense that we're not in this game to spend 5, 7, 8 years just to build another stock photography platform like the rest and try to do an exit and get a little more money. Because to be quite honest, one, we don't have an exit strategy plan on what we're going to use the money for. We're happy with our lives right now. We want them to be impactful. So from a personal point of view, we just love the journey part. And secondly, we don't want to exit something that's not worth exiting. The product has to be good enough. It has to put, a small dent in the universe. And we can only do this by continuing to listening really loud to our users and making sure we understand what they actually need. And then, of course, we understand that, we're going to take some different directions and maybe deroutes when I did, so I've written a number of books about entrepreneurship, and I met this lovely guy called Craig Newmark, who founded Craigslist. And I used this quote for the book because that was what he told me back then when we met. And he said, you know, I'm committed to doing customer service for Craigslist for the rest of my life. The exit strategy is death. And it's powerful words, and they really drove him. But I mean, Craig has sold his shares in Craigslist. He ended up instead wanting to do charity. So he has a hugely successful and meaningful foundation now. But he really believed those words. It was not just like a nice punchline. And we really believe them too. But we're also pragmatic. Yeah, at some point we may gonna sell. Maybe we're gonna make money. Maybe we're gonna go bankrupt. Nobody knows. But what we stay true to is not our exit strategy, but our vision. We have exit scenarios, obviously, because we know at some point, already now actually, there's interest in buying us, and there's interest from the stock photo industry, there's interest from the advertising and marketing industry, and from the media and tech space, because we are building something quite unique. But we don't sit on our weekly management meetings, and we don't put up on the screens for the employees that this is what we're building, and we're building this on how to get exit. No, we're building this because we love what we build, because we think it can make an impact out there. And also when I look at my network, which is also a lot of entrepreneurs and who have built big and successful companies, the ones that have done so, they didn't start with the intent of selling. They didn't start with the intent of getting rich. Profit was a result of product and passion. So profit is a result of product and passion. Also in marketing, yeah, we can of course create awareness. So if we were to raise, now we have raised $2.5 million US, could go out and raise maybe $10 million US next month and just put them all in marketing. But marketing would just get them on board. They would leave us if product is not good enough. And they would leave us if they could feel that we're just developing something in order to sell it and sell them along the way. It's not to say that there cannot be good things about exit strategies. So I put in a few pros on this slide. So obviously investors love it, so you have to have it. I mean, now we're going from startup to scale up, so we have to have some exit strategies. And we also know, you know, just from companies approaching us, we know who want to buy us at some point. And you need to have an exit strategy, because if at some point you want to sell what you do, you need it. And it can also be used to sort of sharpen our competitive edge. So when we benchmark JumpStory towards the competitors, we can also see what directions we are going in that are making us interesting, just because some things we do worse, some things we do better. But there are also some really big cons when you're on this startup financing cycle that I've tried to describe here. And that is that it could remove your focus from the product. If you're just building it to make it sellable, I don't think any of our employees will be very motivated with me pitching every week how we are gonna sell this at some point and become filthy rich. And even the ones that have equities or warrants, it's not why they have this. Of course, it's a nice upside at the end, but at the end of the day, it can derail your focus if you spend too much time worrying about how to sell it. And then it's also, if you sort of get up in the big helicopter perspective, why at all spend time on entrepreneurship and startups? I mean, yeah, it's passion, but it's also a lot of panic, I should say, for those who have not tried the journey. Well, I guess you do it, as it says in this quote, because purpose is really what makes life meaningful, and you attribute meaning to things. Everything can be seen as meaningful. So I love football, or soccer as they would call it in the US, but there are other people who see soccer as just 22 maniacs running around kicking a ball. I guess it's the same with the JumpStory journey. We are deeply passionate about creating a better platform with more authentic and high-performing images for marketing, and others would just think, why do you want to spend so many hours on that? Well, because we have sort of aligned on this being meaningful for us and being together on it here in our office in Denmark. And when you're an entrepreneur, you also develop into a leader, and hopefully, and again here, how you inspire things, how you inspire people. Well, you inspire them to dream, to learn, and to do more. That's how an entrepreneur becomes a really good leader. I don't think that me and my co-founder are there yet, because we have also been so much into product that it's been hard to focus on also being good leaders, but we're really working on it, because that's where we want to move when we become more people. We want to inspire people with this vision and journey that we are on together. So yeah, this is just the final slide. So this is JumpStory. This is our journey towards, as we say, keeping it real. Basically meaning that we have been tired as marketeers for so many years looking at these cliche-looking images. We've been tired of them because they don't perform. They don't create bottom line results, and that's what marketeers need. We've been frustrated with old-fashioned search, like you go to whatever Shutterstock and you find 200 million images and 50 million maybe of marketing, but you don't need 50 million marketing images. You need some that people will not just browse through and instantly see as stock. And also you need to save time. So we have built a smart tool where you can automatically match content with images, basically to save time. So we also want to make your life simpler. So that's why we've been put into this world. And then I see you have some comments here. This wisdom comes with age, I guess. And then Maria says, why only age? Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know if it only comes with age. I think passion or curiosity is something that is particularly powerful actually when you're younger. I think many people until a certain age still believe that they can change the world, and then some will be disillusioned and find out they couldn't, but others actually end up doing it. So I think it's really good to dream beyond what is possible. And we are not saying that we are changing the world in the sense that 1 billion people don't have electricity. It's terrible. We're not going to change that with JumpStory. Anders and I have a dream of, if we sell it for a whole lot of money one day, we want to get into charity, and we want to see if we can spend some of that money on this. But with JumpStory, we solve very concrete everyday problems for marketeers, and we contribute to a perception of life and people that's more authentic and more real than the one you will find on the picture perfect images. So basically, I think actually what kicked us off was this terrible image that many of you probably know of, the goldfish jumping from one bowl to another to show creativity. And that's just like the opposite of creativity, but it sort of became a terrible metaphor on images on why many people hate stock photos. And I totally understand them in the sense that if you perceive stock photos as those kind of images, I hate them too. But stock just means that you have it in stock and many people can use it. So if you have the time, go in and create a free trial on our website, or if you're an investor and you're not totally scared with the fact that we don't have that clear of an exit plan, but more we want to build an amazing company and build up the worth this way, then please reach out. And if you have ideas or comments, also you can always reach out through our website. You can contact me directly on jl@jumpstory.com. Put them here in the comments. Promise to get back to you quickly. This is going to be my last speech here, and then I'm going to celebrate for first time, I think in 2 years, actually a week's holiday in the cloudy Danish weather. But it's going to be amazing being offline. I can also highly recommend it for all entrepreneurs that might be listening out here. That's the thing with passion and panic. You also don't want to burn out. So yeah, but to sort of round it off, our exit strategy is toxic, not in their nature, but if you make them what you build, if you make them define what you build, if they make you define your culture, I think they're going to work against you, but it's not bad to have them in the back of your mind. They should just not be on the front of everybody's thinking. And yeah, thank you so much for your nice comments too. And also really cool that you are starting to have this meta discussion about experiments or experience. I mean, my old company was actually called Listen Louder. And that was also a reminder to myself that once you grow older, you tend to feel maybe sometimes too certain about the world. You lose some of the beginner's mind that that children have, you lose some of the curiosity. For me, startup and entrepreneurship is sort of the essence, for me at least, on how to keep curious, because we start in an industry like stock photography worth $5 billion a year. We know hardly anything about it except from a customer point of view, and we start exploring and we find out that this can be done so much better, so much quicker, so much faster, so much more authentic. And then we embark on the journey and sort of just deep dive in like a child would do, not realizing that for many it would be impossible. I mean, we're battling with companies of 2,000 or 3,000 people, all on the US stock exchange, all with billions of dollars. But if we thought too much about that from the beginning, we would never start. So that should be the final words. If you have any questions, as I mentioned, reach out to me on email. Feel free to leave comments here, and I wish you a wonderful weekend. And I'm actually going to go on a week's holiday now. So stay safe out there. Thanks a lot for joining in.